Coming up on Broncos Country Connected, the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater sits down with head coach Nathaniel Hackett to learn more about his offseason program and what we can expect when the team returns for training camp at the end of July. Then the Denver 7 crew shares their biggest takeaways from Broncos minicamp and some of the key storylines to look for during training camp. Finally, get a sneak peek of Randy Gradishar, the heart and soul of the Orange Crush, the latest Broncos television special airing next Wednesday on Denver 7. Broncos Country Connected is next. Thanks for joining us for Broncos Country Connected. Last week, the Denver Broncos wrapped up the final phase of the offseason program with 2 full days of mandatory minicamp, capped off by an afternoon of team bonding before breaking for the summer holiday. For Nathaniel Hackett, this marked the end of his first offseason program as head coach and also the beginning of his preparation for training camp, which begins in just 5 short weeks. With more on what this team was able to accomplish this offseason and what we can look forward to when the team returns, here's Hall of Fame safety Steve Atwater and head coach Nathaniel Hackett.
Man, it's been a whirlwind since you've gotten here. What would you say your overall feel is for how everything has transpired thus far?
I'll tell you, it's been a great offseason. I mean, the guys have worked real hard. I think they're having fun out there. Just watching the speed of practice, I think is something that I'm just so impressed about. Watching those guys talk back and forth, just really make it fun. Because, you want the guys that want to come into the building, want to come out on the practice field, and you got to love that. And that's the starting point. And as we move forward with learning the defense, the special teams, the offense, that's going to come. We get a chance to get that whole thing run back during training camp. We reinstall everything, so it's all a review. So the guys are excited for it.
Now, I've been hearing so much talk about this outside zone. Why did you decide on that particular scheme?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been in a lot of different places, been in a lot of different systems, created a lot of systems on my own, and then I've always been enamored by the outside zone. And I think from the standpoint of its explosiveness, when you go inside zone, you're going to be very efficient. You're going to be able to get a couple 3-yard, 4 yards, 5 yards, maybe an 8-yarder. But when you're going outside zone, and we're talking true outside zone, we're trying to capture that edge. When you're really stretching that thing, and you now make people have to cover sideline to sideline, it opens up some gaps that now aren't those just 4-yarders, they're those 8, 10, 12, and big hits. And then the marrying of that with the play pass, because not only do they have to step up, but now they got to go side to side and step up and be able to get the ball behind them, is something, it's a thing of beauty when it starts rolling.
Do guys just have to suck it up and learn it, or do you guys try to make it more simple for the players?
Well, I think right now, it is a new system. So anytime you get a new system, it's always going to be difficult. For us, we want to be able to find a lot of different good matchups for us. So we want not one guy to just line up in the same spot. So I think the starting deal with all the formations and the movement and the motions, we want to create some confusion for the defense, and we want to be able to put, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Javonte, Melvin, all these guys all over the place so they can't track them. We don't want them to get a beat on us. So the more we can push on them now, the easier it is during the season. It really simplifies down. Once you get to a game plan, you don't have the entire playbook. Right. So right now we go out there and they have no clue what's coming, and it's about pushing them and stressing them. You want to make them work. You want to make them study so that they can make this. It's like throwing somebody into France to go learn French. You put them out there and they have to learn it, and they've got the whole vocabulary, and that's what we're doing right now. And then we'll slowly start simplifying as the games get closer.
I'm sure Broncos Country, they're excited to see you guys in training camp. What is it about Coach Ejiro Evero's defense that makes it difficult to go up against?
I'll tell you, this whole kind of branch of defense is going all over the NFL right now. And what it does is they change the structure of their defense so much. So it's not just one front, it's not just one look. They're going to move guys around. They're going to have 5 defensive linemen out there, 5 big guys out there. They're going to have 4 big guys out there. They're going to have a couple different personnel groupings, and then they're going to cover up everybody and create one-on-one matchups. They're going to make it hard to run that outside zone because they're going to have 2 big dudes on the outside trying to, really hold that edge. So they make it so that they kind of determine what you're going to do to be successful. But it makes you, as a coach, get frustrated at times because you want to do things big. You want to get those explosive plays, and they force you to kind of just do little things. And I just respect that so much. Just all the front structures, all the coverage structures have been so difficult to go against. So, I want that on our team.
The signing of Russell Wilson this offseason, I still don't know how you guys pulled that off. But in many people's eyes, that was the biggest transaction of the offseason. Has he been everything that you thought he was going to be so far?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, it's funny, I keep hearing him talk about the process and how much he loves the process. And, a lot of guys say that. They always want to be like, I love the process, I love the grind and stuff like that. But, I mean, he really does.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves every second of it, whether it's training, whether it's taking care of his body, whether it's being out there with the guys, whether it's practicing. I mean, he loves practice. He wants to practice more. I mean, we got to kind of slow him down. He's like, hey, we're done now. I'm like, yep, we gotta save some legs. But I think that just by itself just brings that leadership and his desire to want to win. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it's something that I respect. He pushes me, and I appreciate that.
Some of the defensive players may feel like because we have Russell Wilson now, the offense is going to be putting points on the board, that they feel like they're not getting the respect they deserve. What would you say to a defensive player who feels like that? If someone.
Maybe that's what other people are saying, but this group, they're not like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they make us so much better every day. I mean, not only is just that first group that goes out there, but the next line that goes in there, the next group that goes out there is, I mean, they are rolling. And I mean, they've got a lot of juice. They're getting that ball out. I mean, they're getting interceptions. I mean, they're really making us better on offense. And yes, hey, we're so excited about our offense and where it's going to go with all these wide receivers, all these running backs. But that defense now, they're going to be special. And it's going to be fun when they get that ball for us so we can just go do more fun stuff on offense.
Is there any final message you would like to send to Broncos Country to kind of let them know what they should be expecting for this upcoming season?
Hey, we're a long ways away right now. I mean, we're still grinding away. That first game isn't for a while, and I'm happy about that because there's still so much growth that we can do. But I think they're going to see a fun, excited group out there that's ready to play fast and furious. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Coach.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Steve. The next time we'll see Coach Hackett and the Denver Broncos will be July 27th as they take the field for day one of training camp. Mark your calendar as these training camp practices will be open to the public. If you're unable to make it to training camp, don't worry. We'll have live coverage of each practice streaming on all of the Broncos digital channels. Still to come on Broncos Country Connected, the Denver 7 crew shares their biggest takeaways from the Broncos offseason. Don't go anywhere.
The greatest achievement for me would be my football career.
One man anchored the greatest defense Denver has ever seen.
Randy was a playmaker. Randy was very smart.
Hear his story.
I believe I was blessed with an athletic ability.
Experience his career.
That guy's absolutely a Hall of Famer.
It's a travesty that he's not in. It just is.
Randy Gradishar, the heart and soul of the Orange Crush, premieres June 29th at 6:30 on Denver 7.
Welcome back to Broncos Country Connected. Last segment, head coach Nathaniel Hackett shared his thoughts on quarterback Russell Wilson and what he's added not just to this Broncos offense, but this entire organization. For more on the working relationship between Coach Hackett and Russell Wilson, as well as what stood out most throughout minicamp, let's check in with Lionel Bienvenu and Troy Rank.
Thanks, Alexis, and welcome to our Denver 7 segment brought to you by 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Well, the Broncos are done with official offseason activities until training camp in late July. And Broncos insider Troy Rank is here, as always, to talk about this. Troy, they wrapped up OTAs last week with a 3-day minicamp. Actually, it was a 2-day minicamp and a field day, which caused some people to question why wouldn't they use that day to work on the new offense, the new defense, the new special teams, the new coach, and the new quarterback. Is this a big deal or not?
It's absolutely not a big deal. The faux outrage over field day just makes me laugh out loud. The reality is, Lionel, they would have had an hour and 15-minute practice that would have resembled a walkthrough because they did not want to risk injury. So many teams do this. And when you have a new coaching staff, what's more important? Getting a few reps in at walkthrough speed on the last day of school, or having a field day that builds camaraderie and trust in your coaching staff with your players? I am pro field day. I have no problem with it.
Well said, my man. Well said. Okay, Nate Hackett and Russell Wilson, their first offseason together is over. From conditioning on day one all the way to minicamp and now summer break. You were there for all of it. What is your take on where they stand with training camp as the next time this team will get together?
Yeah, did they just become best friends? It's like a scene from Step Brothers. It's working well right now. You're blending the knowledge of Nate Hackett with the skill and the obsession of winning of Russell Wilson. And so far, we're seeing the puzzle pieces fit together. I think the key will be, will Russell Wilson, as he gets used to this offense, start throwing the ball and getting it out more quickly and taking the layups, Lionel, when they're there. In Seattle the last couple years, he felt like basically John Elway with Dan Reeves, where you got to go win it every fourth quarter. I don't think he's going to have to do that. So take the layups, increase the completion percentage, and when the run game establishes that play action, then hit the deep strike. But so far, it's working great.
Also last week, Jerry Jeudy met the media for the first time since his arrest, release, and the charges of tampering were dropped. Now, what did you take from Jerry's press conference and his performance during the OTAs?
Well, to lean on a faith and a saying, those who are humble will be exalted, I saw Jerry Jeudy humbled, that he's finally received the wake-up call that it's going to catapult his career. I've been bullish, you know this, Lionel, on Jerry Jeudy. I'm starting to feel like Gilligan on this island. I'm not giving up on him. I see basically a young man who's received the wake-up call, who knows now he's likely not to be suspended. He has Russell Wilson as his quarterback. There are no more excuses. He was more open with us. He was more honest. He's still not comfortable in a press conference setting, but I saw him being more vulnerable. And I think that's the first step, that humility that will lead to success. Not in training camp. We've already seen that. Lead to success during the season.
Also, Melvin Gordon attended mandatory minicamps, so it was the first time we saw him during OTAs. How did he look? And Troy, it seems he has an edge and an attitude here going into his 8th season.
Yeah, I mean, he was making more difficult cuts than you'd see in a Hollywood script. It's just that's Melvin Gordon. He looks great. He's always in shape. And he gets criticism for not being at OTAs. That's fine, whatever. But he looked great. He has a relationship with Russell Wilson. They played together 1 year at Wisconsin. He also has an edge to him because fantasy league owners do not like Melvin Gordon because he takes carries away from Javonte Williams. But here's the reality, not fantasy. The Broncos need him. He scores touchdowns. That's what he does. So there is basically a purpose to keep him now. He can be a third down back. He can also be a goal line back. And if he becomes the goal line back, look out. My mentions from fantasy owners is going to be a mess, but the Broncos in reality need him to win this season.
All right, Troy, so what is next? We know training camp in late July, but guys are still going to be able to work out at the facility this summer. And Russell Wilson is planning another get-together as well, right?
Yeah, you got guys taking a vacation, getting away from it for a couple of weeks. Dalton Reisner, I know, is getting married, so congratulations to him. You got a lot going on, but after a couple of weeks, you get back into the playbook, and Russell Wilson, it's my understanding, will gather the players, likely in California, a couple of weeks before training camp, so probably mid-July. Training camp opens right around July 27th. What they can do is microwave their development, because when those receivers and linemen meet with Wilson this time, unlike in March, they know the playbook. So I love it. It's going to give them an advantage when they show up for training camp.
That's it from Denver 7 for now. Alexis, let's go back to you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll show you a glimpse into what you can expect when you tune in for our Broncos broadcast special, Randy Gradishar, the heart and soul of the Orange Crush.
Broncos Country Connected is presented by Carpet Mill Outlets. Bigger discounts, better selections.
Thanks for sticking with us for this final segment of Broncos Country Connected, presented by Ford. Throughout the Broncos' rich history, we've seen some of the greatest players to ever represent this organization take their rightful place among the game's best in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But there's one player whose absence from Canton is glaring: legendary Broncos linebacker Randy Gradishar. Next week, right here on Denver 7, we'll go back to the mid-1970s and spotlight the man who anchored arguably the best defensive unit in NFL history. Randy Gradishar, the heart and soul of the Orange Crush. Here's a small sampling of what you can expect when you tune in next Wednesday.
The thing that I probably like most about playing professional football or just playing football is the competition that it brings about within myself and within another ball player. You know, I enjoy going best against the best. That's going to bring out the best in you. And as a competitor and as a guy with a lot of self-drive and enjoying doing a good job, I really enjoy playing against the best people in the NFL.
The benchmark for Broncos linebackers is dominance. From Tom Jackson to Carl Mecklenburg, Simon Fletcher, DeMarcus Ware, and Von Miller, Denver's linebackers have built a legacy of stopping the run, preventing the pass, and rushing quarterbacks with elite skill and unbridled intensity. But even among the Broncos' long list of all-pro linebackers, there is one man who stands out, Randy Gradishar.
He was always in the right place. He always knew where the ball was going. He was never fooled, and a fantastic tackler.
Once he latched on to you, he was gonna get you down.
He was such a great player on a great defense.
He had a great nose for the ball. He really did.
Randy always seemed to make big plays.
In 10 seasons with the Broncos, Gradishar defined what it meant to patrol the middle of the field.
Exactly what we needed as a leader.
Randy was heart and soul of our defense. He came to the field with such a high intensity, you were expected to raise your level of play as well.
Everybody work hard now! Hey, everybody work hard now, let's go!
Before he was the anchor of the legendary Orange Crush defense, Gradishar was a basketball player and a grocery clerk in Champion, Ohio.
We didn't even have football until I was in 9th grade. I thought I was better in basketball.
He didn't know how good he was. He was just playing football, and he'd make all the tackles, whatever.
And I didn't know that my high school football coach sent out films on me.
He was at his dad's grocery store stocking shelves. And he gets a phone call at the store, and they said, "Can you come to the high school? Woody Hayes is here and would like to meet with you."
I didn't know. I said, "Who's Woody Hayes?"
A 3-year starter at Ohio State and a 2-time All-American, Gradishar led the Buckeyes to an undefeated record in his senior year, including a win in the Rose Bowl.
I mean, Woody Hayes said he was the best player he ever coached. So go back and look at some of the players Woody Hayes coached.
He came out of a program that was just second to none.
Before the 1974 draft, a knee injury cast doubt on Gradishar's viability as a pro. But that didn't stop John Ralston from selecting him 14th overall.
Randy just came in with the responsibility of taking over this veteran group. We all saw how hard he practiced, watched his leadership skills. You could feel it. We were like, okay, lead us.
He was assigned the number 52, which he wore for 2 years before switching to number 53.
I think our whole team looked to Randy as the linchpin of that defense.
Throughout the 1970s, the Broncos rose to prominence in the National Football League when defensive coordinator Joe Collier switched to a 3-4 in 1976. The Orange Crush defense was poised to dominate.
Anybody who's followed the Denver Broncos knows that Orange Crush defense was pretty good.
We were a great defense, and we knew it.
In 1977, Gradishar and the Broncos went 12-2 and beat the Raiders in the AFC Championship game to secure Denver's first appearance in the Super Bowl.
What a great memory, and certainly changed the history of the Denver Broncos.
Denver's quest for a world title came up short in Super Bowl 12. Gradishar returned the following season with a new fire, leading the team to its second consecutive AFC West title and winning the 1978 Defensive Player of the Year award.
I made that decision that I was just going to work hard on the field and off the field to be honored with that. I'm very proud of that.
Over the course of 10 seasons, Gradishar racked up a mind-boggling 2,049 tackles, 20 interceptions, and 13 fumble recoveries.
Makes me kind of mad when people tell me that they don't believe the statistics on Randy Gradishar.
Tackles have never been official in the league, and Joe Collier kept the statistics going over the film play after play after play, time after time after time.
Everybody watches the film the next day. So we would all then sit there and go, oh, Randy made 18 solos and he had 4 assists. The guy had 22 tackles during a football game.
Once in a while I get a big hit on short yardage, or if a back breaks through and I get a very good pop on him, you know, that's satisfaction.
If not the best, one of the top 2 or 3 in the NFL in short yardage and goal line.
If the guy tries to come over the top, Randy's gonna be there. He became known for it.
Yeah, you knew in short yardage it was going to be tough sledding against 53.
Gradishar played in 145 straight games, never missing a single one, and often playing hurt.
He was just one of those guys who always played and was always great.
Randy Gradishar's legacy is one of toughness, leadership, and tenacity. He led the team in tackles for 9 consecutive seasons. He was a 7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, and to this day is the only Bronco ever to win Defensive Player of the Year.
I'd like to be remembered for being a well-informed ball player, a ball player who gave that, I don't hear 110% today, but we used to say it given 110%.
For those who played against him and those who played with him, they all know the kind of player that he was and what he's deserving of.
I'm just grateful and, again, feel blessed that I had the opportunity to play in the NFL and for the Denver Broncos.
We hope you'll join us to relive the unforgettable career of one of the most underrated players to ever wear orange and blue. Next Wednesday, a Broncos broadcast exclusive television special, Randy Gradishar, the heart and soul of the Orange Crush, airing June 29th at 6:30 right here on Denver 7. You won't want to miss it. Well, this was our final Broncos Country Connected show of the offseason, but we hope to see you all when we return in late July. From all of us here at the Denver Broncos and Denver 7, thank you for watching.
Broncos Country Connected is brought to you by Ford Trucks. Built better, built stronger, built Ford tough.